Welcome back to Together We Awaken, Finding Light in the Dark. This is episode 20. You are the story maker. Why your soul chose this life. And I am Allison Bruner, your soul sister, human guide, and rebirth midwife. Before we dive in, quickly, I want to remind you that you have the opportunity to join the field, my free Firefly community at AllisonBruner.com if you wish. I'll put my website in the comments or the show notes, but it's where you'll receive field notes, my private newsletter filled with intuitive guidance for each month, upcoming event info, and invitation to free events and discounts. And I'll be sharing a lot of free and deeply discounted services and products soon as I launch them for the first time, just as soon as my body says, yes, okay, I've rested enough. Go ahead. Also, heads up, I'll probably take some time off in August. I haven't figured out when yet. Kind of feeling my way through the energies of August and discerning when the right time might be. But also some events coming up. The Hearth is my next sacred group healing circle happening Monday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can use the code WELCOME for is it $50 off discount if it's your first time, or the code FRIEND if you've already been there and bring somebody new and they can use the code WELCOME. And then Held is my group energy healing session that will be on Tuesday, the second Tuesday of the month, August 12th at 6:30 p.m. You can use the code TRYHELD, TRYHELD, for 50% off if it's your first time. It's on Zoom, but there's no sharing required, and you don't have to turn your camera on or even interact. So you just come and lie down or sit down and close your eyes and receive. And again, you can sign up for that at AllisonBruner.com. My nose itches. And I'm launching something new called Firefly Letters. So people from our community can now send in questions about their spiritual awakening path. And each month I'll answer one of them in depth. Well, I'll answer all of them in depth, but I'll send out one through field notes. If you're subscribed to the Hollow, the next level membership, you'll receive all of the Firefly letters and responses each month. So it's like little soul notes from the collective. So right now, the field is free to join. And in the next field notes email, I'll send out a sample letter so you can, well, it's not sample, it's real, but so you can feel into what Firefly letters are like. And I'll be responding more deeply to a few of the comments on my last YouTube video. So if you left one there, stay tuned. Okay, let's drop in. I'm going to ground here for a second. So back in 2014, I saw the movie Interstellar. And there's a moment in that. Don't worry, I won't give the movie away if you haven't seen it. I recommend it. But there's a moment in there in the movie that really cracked me open. The scene where they're lifting off into space in the rocket ship, and you see big, beautiful blue Earth slowly shrinking, away. They were in search of a planet where life could be sustained. Earth was in big, big, big trouble. But as they were lifting off, potentially to leave forever, I really, really, really broke down. And I didn't know why. I started crying really hard in the movie theater. And it was part of a stage of awakening, of remembering how deep and profound my love is for this planet. And even for some of you, this might be hard to comprehend. I know that for me and my younger self prior to that moment, it would be unfathomable, but also the love for humanity. That scene stirred something deep and ancient, very personal, soul level, something between lifetimes. It triggered a lifetime's long memory of how deeply I have loved this planet Gaia, and reminded me of something important after spending decades in therapy to address the parts of me that were bitter and angry and resentful that I was alive in this lifetime. As a early 20 something, or maybe late teen and into my early 20s, gosh, maybe even mid 20s too, I used to drive my car around through the countryside, just screaming to get my rage out that I was even alive on this planet. That scene in the movie healed all of that. So in this episode, I'm asking, why on earth, literally, did we choose to incarnate at a time like this? When life feels so intense and the old systems are falling apart, and many of us are going through the hardest years of our lives right now, that thick, sticky part of the journey that feels endless, where your body's tired, your heart's tender, and you're wondering, am I really strong enough for this? Why on earth would my soul have signed up for this? And my former mentor used to joke and say, our souls must have been really high and really drunk before when they decided to sign up for this, to come here. And it would really make me laugh because it really hit the nail on the head for what I was feeling. So today I want to talk about that. Not about being high or drunk, but the soul's choice to be here now. And the feeling of just the intensity around it, the fears, the nervous system being shaken. So a while back, I started to understand something important about my nervous system. I used to think that my baseline was more relaxed than it actually was. But I learned that there was always this fight or flight thing happening in my body that I wasn't fully aware of. And my body was holding more stress than I realized. So I began working with my spirit guides in a deeper way, asking them to help me not just know I was safe, but to feel it, like really viscerally feel safety in my body. That was the contrast that I needed to understand what peace even felt like. And so I could feel my way into living a life with peace as my baseline. I did a shamanic journey. I called in my divine fathers, Father Sun, Father Wind, my nature father, or Itu Apu, as they say in Quechua, the mountain who raised me. And I also called in my nature mother, Cadorus Creek. And I sat with them and asked for help, remembering the feeling of deep, grounded safety. Memories started surfacing, like the time I was on an all expenses paid trip on the Caribbean Sea, and I didn't have to worry about anything. I was just there to rest and be held by the sea. And I remembered lying on the balcony with a view of the turquoise and cotton candy pink water and letting my body finally relax. And I also remembered the safety that I felt in my grandmother's house when I was a little girl, where I believed that God loved her so much that nothing bad would ever happen to me as long as I was with her. And I remembered the way that my first ever boyfriend in high school always made me feel protected. And all of these memories began to layer into something I could actually feel again, a felt sense of safety. And then as I was resting in that space, I had a vision of this massive, mythical, larger than life being stepping in to protect me. He was fierce and loving and muscular and towering, like something out of an epic tale. And I realized this was Taitacha, or Father God in Quechua, Taitacha. But I didn't trust him. And I said, where were you in all those other lifetimes when things fell apart, were truly traumatic? And in this lifetime, why now? And the answer came, I never left. I've always been here. I am you. I'm not a man in the sky. I'm not a judge or executioner. I am the love you come from and that you are. And I have never been separate from you. I never abandoned you. And then I remembered something else. An ayahuasca ceremony I attended back in 2015. In that ceremony, I saw a vision of a slave ship. I wasn't sure if I was on it. I saw a whole bunch of people on it, and it was going somewhere that I knew was not good, that they were being taken somewhere they didn't want to go. And these primal screams started coming out of me, and I had half a sense, half awareness of the people around me in ceremony, and I put my hand up and said, don't worry, it's okay, it's not mine. So perhaps what I was experiencing was something collective. But the helpers in the ceremony came to me and laid me on a deerskin rug to soothe me and seek help from deer. And deer, since that night, has always been one of my guides, a reminder of vulnerability, being safe, of sweetness and courage. She's prey, and yet she's not afraid. She walks to the forest with such grace and trust. Even when I first began on apprenticing to a shaman many, many years ago, she said that very, very soon, and it happened within 24 hours, I would meet the animal ally in the physical who would be, a major guide for me on that path. And as I went out searching for my first medicine stone, or as I was in the car about to drive home, I came to an intersection coming out of a mountain, and this deer came down and stood right where I was. I was at the red light waiting for it to turn green, and it came towards me. I looked, and there it was right outside of my car looking in my window. But that night at the ayahuasca ceremony, I didn't trust. I didn't trust God. I didn't trust the earth. I was floating between lifetimes, refusing to come back to the planet. And I told them, the helpers at the ceremony, them, my guides, them, the spirits who were with me, it is violent down there. It's cruel, and I don't want to go back. I was dissociating, as one does, when taking ayahuasca, and creating such commotion, though I didn't quite realize it. So, I had to be put into a separate room. And it took me years to integrate that, to receive the healing, and to understand what I was being shown. I blamed God because I thought God abandoned me, abandoned humanity. But I forgot that we are God, that God is within us. We wrote the stories that we live. ourselves before we incarnated. Every single time. We were the story makers. No one abandoned us. For some reason, we wanted to live each and every story. Little side note here. Some people may listen to my story and the fact that I had this profound experience and realization that followed. I am not promoting ayahuasca ceremonies. If I were honest with you, if I were presented once again with the choice between attending and not, I would not. For whatever reason, I was called. It put me on an accelerated path of awakening. For whatever reason, that was necessary. For whatever reason, I chose that. But I will say this. We can awaken with more grace and ease. We don't need plant medicine to do that. It completely shook up my life. And the years that followed were very, very, very intense. I don't regret the decision I made. I'm not telling you not to do it, but I'm also not encouraging it. So we'll just leave it at that. In every lifetime, we have had the choice to lean on the divine, to surrender and ask for help. But sometimes we didn't. Sometimes we relied on ego, and that's okay. Because we didn't trust that love would hold us, especially if we had experienced trauma. In another ayahuasca ceremony, I was shown a past life where I tried to save everyone, to rescue the people in my village from harm. And in the ceremony, as I was remembering this and reliving it, Spirit told me to stop, to put my hands on the earth, to give it back and surrender it all. And I remember sobbing and saying, but you won't love them the way that I do. I said that to God. A little crazy, right? and that was the moment that I realized, well, after that I'd been trying to love harder than God. What? I was so on the triangle of disempowerment as rescuer. Because I didn't believe in the love of the divine or trust that the divine would help us or lead us through traumatic experiences because I had lived so many of them and felt abandoned by the divine. I didn't trust that the divine could love as fiercely as I did. So I kept trying to save the world, lifetime after lifetime. But the thing is, I wrote each of my stories I've lived before I incarnated. The stories I'd live, the experiences I'd have, the lessons I'd learn. And I wrote them to learn what it means to trust and to learn the opposite of trust and to remember eventually that I'm love. And so now, after all of that, here I am. Still healing, but no longer blaming. Because I finally understand something big. I am the story maker, and you are too. Before we incarnated, we chose these stories. Not to suffer, not to punish ourselves, not even because we had bad karma. No. But to learn and to feel and to grow and to remember. And when we cried out, when we screamed for help, our guides didn't abandon us. They sat beside us and they whispered, And they waited with us. And they honored our soul's choice. Because that's what love does. It doesn't override our stories. It walks with us through them. For what feels like eons, we've lived stories and learned spiritual lessons through a great deal of suffering. But I was told that night in my meditation, what I called in my masculine spirit helpers and God, Father God, they told me, now that you remember that you are the story maker, you are the writer, maybe you'd like to write a new story. One in which you learn and grow through creating rather than through suffering. Now we are awake in the dream, in the story, remembering we have been characters, as I've been talking about in prior episodes, and we're ready to stop playing roles and be awake, knowing ourselves as the divine. Now we can write a different kind of story. What will yours be? This is the one where you aren't a character anymore. You know who you are. You remember now. You don't have to play roles to experience yourself as the opposite of divine anymore. When we're ready to drop the old roles and allow our unawakened selves to die unto the awakened self, we are free. And we can write the next chapter. So what will you write? Feel free to share it in the comments. And maybe first, maybe we need a forgiveness ritual for that. For the part of us that's bitter that we ever chose this in the first place. For the part of us that's exhausted from trying so hard. For the part that still wishes God or we had done it differently and hadn't chosen lifetimes or stories that were so challenging. First, we close our eyes and list our grievances. Pour our hearts out to our higher selves or to God and make sure the divine really hears how hard it has been. Put this video on pause if you have to and get it all out. Write it down if you'd like, or just speak it. Let yourself cry. Let yourself yell. Or let yourself be numb. Speak the words and let them fill the air around you. And then be the divine within you. Your soul or your higher self embodied as much as it can be safely in your body. And try out these words if you'd like. Talking to your human self. I hear you. I am with you. I know. It was painful. It was hard. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. A little ho'oponopono. Thank you for allowing me to experience humanness through you. I love you so much more than you can fathom. And if you'd like, replay that part and just listen to the words of your divine self channeled through my voice. And notice what arises. And then allow the humanness in you to respond with your truth. Can you say, I forgive you? Or, not yet, not today. Try again tomorrow if you must. Sit with the hurt parts of you that aren't ready to forgive and love them back to healing, either through inner parts work, shadow work, inner child work, or just a presence practice. I've done episodes on inner parts work, shadow work, soul retrieval, or just be present with what you feel and give it love and feel it. We are not alone now. We never were. Through all of the suffering, our guides, an entire team of spirit, were with us, loving us, holding space for us, and cheering us on, believing in us. And they're here now. They can't fix anything for us. They will not deliver us, but they will sit with us through everything. And we can ask for their help. They will bring you help. We can also ask them for help in writing a new story. Once we've been able to forgive ourselves for the ones that we've already lived, then we are free to write the next chapter. Remember how much you loved Gaia before you came here. Remember, you came because of love. You came because you are love and you felt love. Even if it feels impossible to believe right now, you also loved humanity. Come here into your heart to remember. And thank you for listening. And thank you for co-creating the new story we are going to live. This time, remembering who
Then
we
my heart
are.
starts talking. You are never alone, whispers my heart, whispers my sweetheart.